So, the meaning of choice. Choose gender-specific dialogue options 3 times. This achievement is probably one of the most easiest to miss achievements in the game, and for good reason. As of version 1.1, where we're currently at, there's only 4 opportunities for you to get this achievement while playing the game, and if you miss them, then unfortunately you're out of luck. So if you come here looking for a guide on how to get it, and you've already completed the main campaign, then I'm sorry to say, but this guide won't help you right now. But what we can do is run through the current dialogue options that grant these achievements, so that you have a better understanding of what it is you need to be looking for when the new content rolls out in 1.2 and onwards. I'm also going to go through exactly how it is we determine which responses actually trigger the achievement through data mining, and this is where you're going to see how this really isn't as straightforward as you might think, and exactly why so many people are missing this achievement. So let's just kick it off by looking at which mission contains the dialogue options in question. I'm going to drop all the links to the wikis down below for each mission so you can go through and read through them, and I'll place on the screen here the responses that trigger the achievement for each one. So the first one we're looking at isn't actually from a quest, but rather from an NPC, and it's only going to be available from the first time you speak to this NPC. Her name is Lila. She's located on Jarilo-VI in the administrative district in front of the Golden Theatre. She's got some special dialogue the first time you speak with her, so you only get this opportunity once. If you're a male character, then your response option is, "Do you mean I'm very handsome?" And if you're female, your response is, "Do you mean I'm very pretty?" And now I did mention before that you had 4 opportunities to get this achievement, but it's actually 5 if you play a female character, because this next one is only available to those who picked the female MC. So it's also located on Jarilo-VI, it's part of the main story questline there. The mission itself is called Everwinter Night, and it's when you stop to rest at the Goth Hotel. The response that you're going to be looking out for is when March wants to call it a night. You then respond with, "Didn't somebody mention a pillow fight?" That option is only available if you play the female MC. So this one here is going to be right at the start of the Xianzhou questline. The main quest itself is called Windswept Wanderlust, and the sub-quest is An Invitation Without Proffer. It's right after the section when Kafka hijacks your communication and then leaves. Before you and your team go back to vote on your next destination, you can speak to March, who asks you, "You used to know Kafka, right? Was she always like this?" Now, if you're playing a male MC, your response can be, "A man should keep his past a secret." And if you're playing the female MC, your response is, "You shouldn't talk about girls behind their backs." This one's a side quest called From Xianzhou with Love. So this starts off from a message from Asta. She seems interested in the Foxian beauty chat in Xianzhou, so she wants to meet you in the master control room. After a brief conversation with her there, she sends you off to speak to a researcher named Wen, who seems to be infatuated with the Foxian beauty. When you first meet him, he says, "Miss Dainqing, hehehe, my Miss Dainqing." Your response, if you're a male, should be, "Can you share your story with a fellow brother?" And if you're female, it's going to say, "Can you share your story with a fellow sister?" So now we're at the point where you're thinking, you know what, this doesn't seem so complicated. You just need to select any sort of response that is different based on whether or not you're male or female. So any sort of sentence that has a reference to your character's sex. Well, remember when I said it wasn't so clear? Here's why. This one's part of the main story questline in Xianzhou. It's after you've met Ting Yun for the first time and you've spoken to her. She ends the conversation telling you to meet her at the Petrichor Inn for some tea. Now before you go and follow Ting Yun, investigate the spot where she was standing in front of that portal looking gate, and March is going to say, "Whoa, I felt as though I lost weight when I walked through there." Now the response you have to pick here for this achievement is same. And if you're a male, it's same. And if you're female, it's also same. And that seems absolutely ridiculous, because in no way at all does that sound like anything to do with a gendered dialogue. But lo and behold, when we pull up the data mined text, there it is. You've got a separate response for male and a separate response for female. And so this doesn't make any sense until you actually pull up the Chinese text. And here we can see some subtle differences between the male response and the female response, with the male response being yeah, and the female response being what, yeah. And so both responses translates to be me too, but the male version uses some undertones that makes it sound a little bit more rugged, while the female Me Too response is a more standard way of saying it. Clearly, this did not translate well over to English. So, while we ended up getting identical responses for both genders, the achievement that actually gives credit towards the achievement is still in. So, you can see just how easy it is to miss some of this stuff once you factor in translations. And so, with version 1.2 just a few days away, I'll be delving into the data mine text as soon as it drops in order to find out if there are any new responses located in the new main story and side story questlines. So if you're still missing this achievement and don't want to risk missing out again once 1.2 drops, make sure you subscribe, as I'll be making an updated video outlining all gendered responses found in the new content, if there is any. Fingers crossed.